Welcome to another edition of Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. Once again, I'm doing a variety of different character voices until someone complains. Here's the lineup for this week. News, of course, Community Bulletin Board, and 55 Plus News. Finally, we'll take a look at the so-called missing middle housing study and ask some provocative questions. That's the show. Now here's the social media reminder. You can watch us on YouTube at Arlington Weekly News and the number 1, also on Facebook, and you can listen on the radio at WERA 96.7 FM. Now, on to the news.
As of Sunday evening, August 2nd, reports showed the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Arlington had exceeded 2,900. Regular viewers will note the steady increase in our reported numbers. Also, the Arlington County Board has adopted an emergency ordinance prohibiting groups of more than 3 people from congregating on streets and sidewalks posted with the restrictions, and requiring pedestrians to maintain at least 6 feet of physical separation from others on posted streets and sidewalks. Violators could face a traffic fine of up to $100. In adopting the measure, the board cited the difficulty of securing voluntary compliance with social distancing requirements as coronavirus cases surged nationwide. Here's a quote. While most Arlingtonians are adhering to requirements to wear masks and maintain social distancing, unfortunately some are not, according to Arlington County Board Chair Libby Garvey. They are putting themselves and our community at risk of serious illness or death during this COVID-19 pandemic. The board hopes that this step will make it clear to our entire community that this pandemic is far from under control and that we are serious about maintaining social distance to slow its spread and save lives. We hope that through outreach and education we will get voluntary compliance and will not have to issue a single ticket. The board voted unanimously to adopt the emergency amendment to the county code, saying enforcement will begin after a period of outreach and education and after signs are posted in the areas of enforcement. The board acted under the state of emergency declared by Governor Ralph Northam and the county in response to the spread of the coronavirus. In adopting the emergency amendment, the board noted that since the inception of Phase 3 of Arlington and the Commonwealth's emergence from the governor's stay-at-home order, Arlington County has experienced significant crowding inside restaurants and on the public sidewalks, rights-of-way, and adjacent public spaces where patrons gather for oftentimes prolonged periods awaiting admission into the restaurants without wearing face coverings and practicing social distancing, thereby creating a significant potential for the spread of COVID-19. In accordance with state law, the board will hold a public hearing on the amendment at its September 2020 County Board meeting before voting on whether to make it permanent. Also, there is some new guidance for county employees regarding the removal of graffiti. County board staff performing graffiti sign removal duties on public property will, first, respond to graffiti and unauthorized sign complaints within 3 workdays or as soon thereafter as feasible if a response within 3 workdays is impracticable due to reasons such as inclement weather, unavailability of personnel, and other reasons. In no circumstance shall the content of the graffiti or unauthorized sign be the reason for a delayed response. Prioritize responses to profanity while still responding to all graffiti and unauthorized complaints within the time period stated above. Next, remove all graffiti and unauthorized signs reported regardless of content or message or medium: chalk, paint, plastic, paper, and so on. The county staff shall not remove any graffiti or unauthorized signs from private property, even when requested or authorized by the property owner. When graffiti is in front of a residence or can otherwise be inferred to be associated with the residence, staff will attempt to communicate directly with residents about the graffiti removal policy at least 1 day prior to removing the graffiti. If staff is unable to communicate directly with the resident about removing the graffiti associated with their home, they will leave an information pamphlet and remove the graffiti. Report suspected gang-related graffiti to Arlington County Police Department for further investigation as appropriate. Employees with questions or concerns about this policy or any particular assignment are empowered to bring their concerns to management for discussion prior to implementing any graffiti removal activities. Employees should be sensitive to the impacts that their actions have on the community. In addition, employees may practice judgment on the effective use of resources when it comes to the permanence of the medium used to create the graffiti. For example, sidewalk chalk or traditional stick chalk is easily and quickly removed by rain. To conserve labor resources, employees and supervisors may exercise judgment in removal of stick chalk, particularly when rain is forecast. By contrast, the more persistent paint-like products, such as spray chalk and roller chalk products, will be promptly removed as outlined above. Meanwhile, Arlington has launched a review of police policies and practices. Items include review of use of force, de-escalation tactics, lethal and non-lethal force, and foot and vehicle pursuits. Under training and supervision, Police Academy training and training for implicit bias and crisis intervention. For cameras, both body-worn and vehicle dash cameras, and policies regarding use of this equipment. Recruitment and retention, screening for bias, psychological evaluation, mental health programs, process for officer evaluation, promotion and leadership development programs, and compensation, including pay and benefits. Internal affairs, statistics, structures, and procedures, effectiveness through an anonymous climate survey, grievance processes, and use of force investigations. Data and statistics, reviewing data collected for arrests and stops over the last 3 years and ensuring its consistency. This external assessment began on July 20, 2020, and was led by 2 parties with expertise in departmental assessments, police practices, policy review, criminal justice reform, and conflict analysis. The themes of this assessment will be shared with the 15-member police practices group early in the fall and will support the work of the group moving forward. The group will begin meeting in August and will also discuss the following 4 important policy areas. Police Civilian Review Board. What type and what approach? The role of the police department in providing mental health services. The role of the police department in traffic enforcement, and the opportunity for alternative dispute resolution, including restorative justice and mediation. The group will use the themes identified during the assessment to inform discussion and work to offer options on the 4 policy areas and report to the county manager by December 21st, 2020. The group will hold public engagement sessions to gather community input on these issues. The results will be provided to the county manager as he hires a new police chief after a national search. The information will also form the basis of potential recommendations for improvements to the county board. Finally, the Arlington County Sheriff's Department has announced a new behavioral health docket team member. Her name is Diana Federer. She will be coming to the pre-trial section where she will begin a new role as a member of the newly established behavioral health docket team. Ms. Federer comes to the Arlington County Sheriff's Office with 5 years' experience working for Blue Ridge Court Services in Staunton, Virginia, as the coordinator for the Staunton, Augusta, Waynesboro Therapeutic Docket. During her time with Blue Ridge Court Services, she successfully graduated 34 participants. Ms. Federer also carried a caseload of pretrial clients diagnosed with serious mental illness. She holds a bachelor's degree in sociology from Christopher Newport University and a master's degree in forensic psychology from Marymount University. She said, "I look forward to returning to the Northern Virginia area where I was born and raised to assist with the management of the new behavioral health docket in Arlington County." The behavioral health docket is scheduled to start in September of 2020. Now it's time for Community Bulletin Board.
Hi, and welcome to Community Bulletin Board. My first story is called, What Fair? We've been trying to get more information about the 2020 Arlington County Fair. On June 11th, there was a press release saying that due to concerns about COVID-19, this year's fair would be a virtual event. We've kept checking the Parks and Recreation website, and the fair is still listed as taking place from August 12th to August 16th, but the description just sent us to the original June 11th press release. We followed a link in that press release to the fair's Facebook page, but their most recent post just says the fair has been featured in this year's Washington Parent Picks. Oh, and there's also something about voting until August 21st to show your support, which is now described as starting on August 14th. Going to the Arlington County Fair's website just brought up a page that said the fair's schedule is coming soon. We'd like to tell you more, but as of now, that's all we could find. Well, if you can't make it to the virtual county fair, there's always virtual bingo. This event is intended for kids aged 8 to 11. They can join a naturalist to play a nature-themed version of bingo with other nature-loving kids. They'll receive an email link to Microsoft Teams before the program's start time. It is requested that everyone have their device ready to go prior to the start of the program, and registration is required. Just call 703-228-4747 and reference activity number 642820-E. That's on August 13th, 2020, 1 o'clock p.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. Also, here's something about how to make voice assistants work for you. They say there are more than 110 million voice assistants in homes around the world, but research shows they're being underutilized. You can join a group to learn how a voice assistant like the Amazon Echo, also known as Alexa, can make day-to-day tasks easier and more enjoyable. You'll also learn how voice assistants can help keep you safe in your home. The presenter will be Paul Burden, founder of Our Voice. For the past 4 years, he's helped clients get the most out of their voice assistant devices. Paul has an extensive background in technology as vice president at Microsoft and senior vice president at Zap Media, the world's largest provider of apps for voice assistants. Now, registration is required. You'll receive emailed information on how to join this Zoom event. That's on Thursday, August 13th, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. You can register by clicking Begin Registration at the Arlington Public Library website. Finally, the Never Too Old Book Club is a young adult book club for adults. Their motto is, You're Never Too Old to Enjoy YA. They'll be discussing They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. They'll be meeting via Zoom. Registration is required to participate. Within 24 hours of the meeting, You will receive instructions for joining the Zoom meeting, although a Zoom account is not required to join. They do say you'll need a microphone. I think maybe you could just listen. The title of the book does kind of seem like a spoiler, but maybe there's a surprise ending. For more information, you can contact Deborah at lib-aurora hills@arlingtonva.us. Now it's time for 55 Plus News.
Howdy. It says here that you can learn about the history of English. I don't know why, we're all Americans here, but anyway, you can have fun sharing words, expressions, neologisms, and other items of linguistic interest. I think I have a few words to say about that. Anyway, it's facilitated by the volunteer Stephen Weartime, and you can RSVP to Sheila Butoff for a meeting link before the program. You can email her at sbudoff@arlingtonva.us. That's on Wednesday, August 12th from 10:30 to 11:45 a.m. And they're looking to make that a regular thing every second Wednesday. Next up, Morning Coffee Meetup. Now, I like the sound of this one. It says, start your week off right with coffee and friendly conversation. Again, you can RSVP to Sheila Butoff for a meeting link before the program. And you can still email her at sbudoff@arlingtonva.us. She hasn't moved around on you. This one's on August 17th, 2020, 10 a.m. to 11 o'clock a.m., and it's an every Monday thing. I like having it at 10 o'clock a.m. because that gives me time to wake up beforehand and have that first cup of coffee. Next up, you can learn how to go car-free on your own with tips for using public transit safely, saving money, and gaining independence. Discover how to utilize Arlington's stations, metro rail, and bus system. You find out about fare options, senior discounts, trip planning, and more. They also speak Spanish. It says here, they sí habla español. If you stay to the end, you get a chance to win a prize. It's presented by Car Free Diet's Ken Matthews, and you can RSVP to Elizabeth Poole to receive a meeting link before the program. Now, her email address is epoole@arlingtonva.us. Don't forget that second E at the end. That's on August 19th from 11 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock noon. Last up, there's a history discussion group. Listen, contribute, and reflect on this discussion group focusing on cultural, economic, artistic, and political history. Also, if you're my age, make sure they spell your name right. It's going to be led by Dwight Rogers of Encore Learning, and you can email Sydney Reed, that's SREID @arlingtonva.us, to be added to the email list to receive weekly discussion topics. That's on August 20th from 1 o'clock to 2:30 p.m., and then they're having a couple more on August 27th and September 3rd. And that's it for 55 Plus News.
I call this next piece the missing point of the missing middle. According to its opening statement, the Missing Middle Housing Study Research Compendium is a collection of Arlington-specific data and existing conditions that will serve as a resource for the study. Comprised of 5 bulletins, the collection introduces housing types and terms and provides an overview of Arlington's current housing inventory, presents background information on housing affordability, reviews the history of land use and zoning policies, and illuminates how the combination of these elements have shaped the way Arlington exists today. The information serves as a starting point for community discussion. More research and analysis will be conducted throughout the study's process to support the development of recommendations. That's what their announcement says. So far, Bulletins 1 through 3 have been issued. This week, we'll examine Bulletin number 1, which does a good job of assembling certain data. The bulletin begins by defining terms. Missing middle is a commonly used term that refers to the range of housing types that fit between single-family detached homes and mid to high-rise apartment buildings. Used in this context, middle references the size and type of a home and its relative location in the middle on a spectrum of housing types. Examples include duplexes, triplexes, courtyard apartments, townhouses, and more. The cost of these housing types vary based on style, size, location, and market forces. Missing middle housing types do not always correlate with a specific income bracket. As of 2019, only a small percentage of those homes could be considered missing middle housing. 24% of homes are single-family detached, and 70% are low, mid, or high-rise multifamily. When counted together, stacked duplexes, side-by-side duplexes, and townhouses make up just 6% of Arlington's housing. This all sounds very nice and carefully put together, but it seems to me that it is overly concerned with counting buildings and not with how people actually have to live. Let's consider the story of a single house. My first quote is from the Redfin real estate website. 1109 North Evergreen Street is a house in Arlington, Virginia, 22205. This 1,451 square foot house sits on a 6,600 square foot lot and features 4 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms. The property was built in 1937 and last sold for $31,500. Based on Redfin's Arlington data, we estimate the home's value at $832,876. The public facts for 1109 North Evergreen Street show the following taxable value. Land, $656,500. Additions, $100,400 for a total of $756,900. However, according to the RE/MAX website, this same house has only 2 bedrooms and 2 full baths, 1,430 square feet, and an estimated value of $794,200. The Zillow website states, 1109 North Evergreen Street, Arlington, Virginia is a single-family home that contains 3,124 square feet and was built in 1937. It contains 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The Zillow estimate for this house is $960,667. When the house was last sold in 1968, the federal minimum wage was $1.60 per hour, and the median household income was $7,700 per year. At the moment, the federal minimum wage is $7.25 per hour, and the median household income is $78,500. The federal minimum wage increased by a little more than 4.5 times, and the median household income increased by a little more than 10 times. Meanwhile, the taxable assessed value of 1109 North Evergreen Street increased by more than 24 times. If we consider the federal minimum wage as a measure of valuation, this house should now only cost about $143,000. If we use median household income, this house should now cost about $320,000. What will $143,000 buy today? What will $320,000 buy today? More on this in coming weeks. And that concludes this week's show. We will be back next week with more news from Arlington, maybe some on-the-ground observations and analysis. Meanwhile, be careful, be safe, and be well.
I think I'll call it crayon. I might even call it crayon, so everyone gets the idea. You know that it's got to be colorful, and I'll have the whole world to draw on. Yeah, I think I'll invent a new kind of music. I think I'll call it crayon. I'll invent a new kind of music. I think I'll call it crayon. Sometimes it might have a touch of the blues or some other color of crayon. And I can keep on repeating the title so everyone's sure to remember it. Yeah, I think I'll invent a new kind of music. I think I'll call it crayon. The flute player in. Color the flute player silver, and the horn section gets to be gold, and the bass player gets to be purple like rain or gray if the bass is old. And there's plenty of room for the blacks and the browns, and no, we won't forget the whites. I'll have the whole rainbow and then some in the music I'm gonna call crayon. The string players in. I think I'll invent a new kind of music. I think I'll call it crayon for every religion and politic, so we won't fear the yellow peril, and we won't worry about the red menace, and sometimes we'll party with the greens, alright. I think I'll invent a new kind of music. I think I'll call it crayon. When will the choir shout? I'll invent a new kind of music. I think I'll call it crayon. The lyrics won't be too suggestive, but the rhythm is nice and smooth. And if you play it for your lover, you know that they'll get the picture. Yeah, I think I'll invent a new kind of music. I think I'll call it crayon.